Hello everybody, you're watching Foxicalicus. Welcome back to Tiny Bunny. We're now on episode 3. On end, the wolf's gray fur will stand. Get to meet the wolf, hopefully. He's the one who hated Baburin. You think he did it? I heard he's a weirdo. I hurriedly rubbed my glasses. The glasses. Semyon was clutching them in his fist while I was getting beaten up. And in just a couple of hours, this lost item was lying on the ledge of my window. It was hard to imagine that Sioma suddenly got guilty conscious and returned my glasses in such a strange way. I was shocked, but kept walking toward the classroom, accompanied by nasty whispers around me. The photo still stood before my eyes. Semyon had gone missing. Semyon is gone. His fat fingers will never get to my throat. His signet ring won't smash into my chin. He'll never humiliate me again. Wasn't that what I wished for? On the other hand, did I really wish Semyon to become a murky stain on the notice board? He was still someone's son or grandson, and he went through the same struggles as me. Did I really wish for my unseen companion to dispatch him in such a brutal fashion? I didn't know the answer, or I was just scared of it. Nonetheless, school still had something nice about it. Polina, the girl with the violin, was like a mountain spring, like well water that you gulp down, pressing your lips against the zinc outer ring of a bucket. Can't ever get enough. What if I make her one of the characters in the story I'll draw? The protagonist will save her from terrifying monsters. That's quite a haircut. As soon as I thought of monsters, a bunch of my classmates slid down the rails, smirking like the xenomorphs from the Alien. I immediately felt larvae of fear rise in my stomach. I didn't want to cross paths with Ramka and Biasha after what happened yesterday, especially since Semyon suddenly went missing. Oh, come back! I entered the classroom and went toward the last row. All the chatter suddenly died down, so I walked there in complete silence. These kids, legitimately think that he... It felt like my classmates pushed and poked me with their stares. They carefully observed my every move. They looked at me with a mortifying mix of pity, ridicule, and derision, like a scientist looks at an ugly representative of a newfound species of worms. As a scientist, I would not look at a worm like that. Well, I guess it depends. I stared at the desk with a huge pile of library textbooks on top, my fists clenched. I felt like I was the one who disappeared in that snowy forest, and my desk was finally used for something worthwhile. Semyon's empty chair stood in front of me. The chair that once belonged to Vova gathered dust somewhere in another classroom. Am I sitting in his... old cheap slide projector. Call this metal a tank, because it looked like one. There was a time when I had a lot of cool fairy tales that we used to watch with Dad in complete darkness. I remember Little Raccoon and One Who Sits in the Pond, Kipling's Mowgli, and many others. I was immediately swept away by the memory of the projector's hum, of its hot casing, of its bright rays hitting the wall, turning it into a screen. It's a pity that the school slides were mostly about minerals and PSAs. Where else can I investigate? You. Looked at the portraits of classical writers. My eyes stopped on Senen's photo. Last year, I was tasked with learning any poem, and Dad suggested I learned one about the dog Jim, written by Senen. I don't remember all the stanzas by now, but the last one was somehow deeply ingrained in my memory. I'm sure she'll come here in my absence. Please catch her eye. Go kiss her hand for me. For all my real or fancied errors asking forgiveness of her and humility. Where else? You. Every boy my age, I knew, had something like this in his arsenal. Powder firecrackers that blow up with a very loud sound, especially inside an archway. It is said they're produced in China and that a single one of them can blow your fingers off if you light it up and clutch it in your hand. Especially the black Corsair type. They won't be enough to blow up plastic soldiers, but when it comes to stuff made of plaster, they should work. Now I shall sit down. I have investigated everything. After a moment of hesitation, I sat down at Baburin's desk, the place where I was supposed to be assigned by Lilia Pavlovna at first. The chatter resumed, as if someone just unpaused a movie. Baburin's grandma made such a fuss when he didn't return home. First she ran to the school, then called the cops. Yes. Thanks for telling me, girlie. Katya snuck a cunning glance at me, then leaned into her neighbor and whispered something. Girls from the second row also leaned in. She shared something with them too. Whispers, nods. I kept catching her stare on myself. Her neighbors stared too. The whole class was watching me. It was like they felt the need to watch me because they were searching for traces of blood on my fingers. I wanted to defend myself and shout, "Guys, listen, I'm innocent!" The delinquents turned around and stared at me in silence. Their looks were dripping with malice. But why? What did I do to them? Their friend went missing and they're still focused on me. Suddenly, I noticed Biasha drilling a hole in my nose with his eyes. It felt like he was about to point his finger at me and shout at the top of his lungs, "Everyone look! Baburin snatched his glasses yesterday and now he has them back. Murderer." But he remained silent, as if there was nothing special at all about my glasses. I may be going mad, but I think Biasha knows something. He knows something, but he won't tell me what. As if looking for protection, I clutched the ruler until my hand hurt. You don't have to be Columbo to solve this. Who held a grudge against Baburin? Who hit him yesterday, bullied him, and then... The metal ruler fell out of my weak fingers. It hit the floor with a jingle, and that made the other kids shudder. Katya bit her tongue and squirmed nervously. Chairs scraped against the floor. My classmates moved away from me, closer to the exit, toward the teacher's desk. I was not the only one to catch wind of that change. Ramka and Biasha looked around and winced in contempt. Too bad that they weren't afraid of me like everybody else. Shut it. I bet you Baburin just got a whipping from his old hag and ran off. They'll find him soon. They'll find him all right, in a ravine, with his stomach cut open. I gulped. Oh! I imagined Sioma on a snowy blanket, his face, white like a fish belly, split down the middle by the crevice of his mouth, snowflakes falling on his glassy eyes and filling up his throat. See? I could almost hear his condescending tone. It's all your fault. Why was Semyon the one who gets his just desserts for bullying me? Weren't all of them supposed to disappear? Vramka, Bisha, Katya, along with every laughing onlooker. Of course, Semyon did me a favor by disappearing. Thanks to him, my classmates now stared at me in awe. But that was only one side of the coin. What if I'll have to repay that favor soon? The door creaked. Polina entered the classroom. I straightened up in a hurry so she wouldn't see me looking like a scared critter. Polina went to her seat without looking at me. The ringer's trill announced the start of the class. All right, stop messing around. Class, stand up. You too, Petrov. Lilia Pavlovna went to her desk, followed by a policeman in a uniform. It was the man that visited us just recently. Tall, and his stare so sharp you could get cut on it. Hello there, kids. Hi. You can sit down, kids. This is Senior Lieutenant Konstantin Vladimirovich Tikhonov. He's going to ask you a couple of questions and give you a small PSA. The class livened up. Talking to a policeman was way better than studying. I, on the other hand, was ready to sit through hundreds of hours of Russian literature just to escape the lieutenant's oppressive stare. His brown eyes felt around the classroom, looking for me. Hair stood on the back of my neck and an icicle had lodged in my gut. Turn around. Is it true that Baburin got killed by a serial killer? Shush, Katerina. Let the adults ask questions here. We're all scared. Maybe the killer is somewhere close. Maybe they're even sitting among us. Her sly stare was directed at me. Don't smile at me. Are you flipping me off? Tikhonov stepped in between the rows of desks and started walking at an excruciating slow pace, brushing his fingers against the chairs as he passed by. Some of the students almost broke their necks following his movements. That's how a crowd of commoners would gleefully anticipate a public execution in the Middle Ages. And he just walked, getting closer and closer to me. Hi. I gritted my teeth to stop myself from screaming. Calm down. Breathe. You didn't kill or kidnap anyone. He already knew the answer to his question, but the policeman still asked in a stern voice. Anton Petrov. Yes. Stand up, Petrov. My muscles turned to stone. I got up and glued myself from the chair. I felt like I could hear all my joints creak in the process. I only wished that Polina wouldn't turn around and see the grimace of horror on my face. If only I could be somewhere far away in the forest, digging myself into a snow pile, rolling up into a ball there. The officer stared at me as if he was about to lock a pair of handcuffs on my wrists. I wonder how cold those bracelets are to the touch. I imagined myself getting jailed and put into a juvenile detention center where tons of Semyons would constantly harass me. I don't know anything. I have nothing to do with this. Nobody's accusing you of anything. For now. Only then I noticed a file that said case number in his hand. It had a gray cover made from rough carton. Flopped onto the desk like a guillotine blade that slid down on someone's neck. With measured motion, Tikhonov opened the file, still studying me with his gaze. Got a glimpse of documents and photos. They showed prints in the snow. They looked like animal prints. Have you talked to Semyon Babiron before? I only knew him for a week. Everyone knows that Petrov hated him. I turned red. You ugly. I wanted to sink my teeth into Katya's face and chew out her cheek. Instead, I replied with the calmest voice I could muster. We had a fight yesterday. But he started it. So I hit him. How hard did you hit him? Not that hard. I waved my hand indecisively. Tikhonov looked at my fist as if he was surprised that I managed to hit the big kid from the photo. Surprisingly, Lilia Pavlovna came to my rescue. Babiron is a troubled teen, a true pain in the rear. Why was my name there? The officer replied with a meaningful nod and fished a notebook out of the file. Is this yours? I averted my gaze. It was a math notebook with my name on it. My classmates devoured me greedily with their eyes. Felt like even the writers on the portrait squinted at me in suspicion. Yes. We found it in the forest. In the area where the tractor driver who was plowing snow there last saw Babiron. I started blinking in bewilderment. Ramka ransacked my school bag. This notebook probably just got lost somewhere in the bushes. The lieutenant knew about the school brawl, but was he aware of the fight in the forest clearing? I had witnesses that could testify to Semyon and I walking in different directions after that. I looked toward the boys, hopeful. Ramka, who sat behind Tikhonov, put a finger to his lips. When the officer quickly turned around, he pretended to pick on his nose. I deciphered his signal. Boys like Ramka would probably say something like, snitches get stitches in a situation like this. I frantically fixed my glasses. Wait. Semyon took them away yesterday, but now they're... So what were you doing in the forest yesterday, Anton? I go to school through the forest. Could have easily fallen out of my bag. Easily. Just like me producing this half-truth. Be careful out there. Before I realized whether it was a genuine piece of advice or a failed threat, the teacher said, Class, the officer will now tell you about some rules you should follow. So the killer does exist. I actually hate you. We can't make any of this public for now. Whether the criminal really exists or not, you should be mindful of your safety. The police, your parents, and your teachers all watch over you, but no one guards you better than you yourself. Alright. Any questions? A stockade of arms rose from the desks. The kids shouted over each other, swarming the policemen with questions. In an attempt to calm down that chorus, he moved toward the blackboard. The gray file was left lying in front of me. I stared at it, my breathing so ragged that it might have looked like someone who just ran a 100-meter sprint. Beads of sweat rolled down my back. I looked around the classroom. My classmates were catching officers' every word. Only Ramka was saying something to Biasha. Lilia Pavlovna was staring at the window, fighting back yawns.
Комендантский час, причин пока нет. Слишком мало времени.
Oh. That was a mistake! As soon as I touched the folder, Tikhonov lashed at me with his eyes. My hand instinctively moved away, as if that stare actually hurt. The officer just kept staring at me without saying a word, making me squirm under the weight of this uncomfortable silence and the sneering looks of my classmates. And then he suddenly continued his speech as if nothing ever happened.
Мы все уверены, что он найдется живым и здоровым.
Nobody paid me any mind, so I slowly opened the file. My fingers started shifting through the documents. 6 years old, left her home sometime in December, identifying features. My heart almost jumped from the ribcage. A round-faced girl no older than Olya smiled at me from the photo. The first victim of a serial killer? the first child to disappear in the forest without a trace. I should put this away before I get caught. I turned another page. Vladimir Yukin, 10 years old. Isn't that the same kid? Vova was the second. Oh, his mitten hanging from the branch. His name called out by desperate adults and repeated by the sneering echo. Lilia Pavlova coughed, trying to calm down the rowdy students. I yanked my hand away and the file closed. I've seen enough. The officer finished his lecture and started searching around with his eyes. Finally, he noticed the folder he left on my desk, put it silently under his arm, and went toward the blackboard without looking back. Let me say this again. If you see anyone suspicious in the village, be it near the school or on the forest trail, contact the police immediately. You know our number, right? 02. Thanks for listening, boys and girls. Thank you, Lilia Pavlovna. And we'll find your classmate. Yeah, right, a thought flashed through my mind. He's been eaten. Dig through enough ditches and maybe you'll be able to piece him together. Like Legos. My thoughts turned evil for some reason and I couldn't control them. Tried to switch the lieutenant's speech about suspicious individuals. What if I saw the killer before? What if I was a hair's breadth away from them? Suspicious people, How suspicious was the fox girl that wandered in the darkness? A weirdo that always appears out of nowhere and then dissolves into thin air with her riddles and rhymes. Could she really harm the hulking Semyon? Her teeth look sharp enough. Should I tell the officer about her? What if lives of other kids depend on this? Of the cute Ksenia and Vova too? Wait, what if I get mocked for speaking out? What if they'll start whispering behind my back, or what's even worse, think that I'm insane? Momka gave me a stern look over the shoulder. I doubt someone like him would approve of cooperating with the police. I don't care what Romka thinks. Right now, all of the decisions that I make are being made for the good of Olya. Katya's braid dangled nervously behind the delinquent sitting in front of me. My hand was glued to the desk. Tikhonov was saying goodbye to Lilia Pavlovna. He was about to leave. It'll be too late soon. See, I don't know what he's gonna do about her. That's the thing. She's like magic, so I don't think that's gonna... No way. I've had enough of humiliation. Because I don't think there's anything that he could, like, even do. I'll keep my head down, like a bunny. I locked my fingers and zipped my mouth. The bell rang. Lilia Pavlovna passed by without looking my way. Polina left after her. Are the decisions that I make gonna affect whether or not I turn into a rabbit at the end of this game? My classmates went silent at the same time, as if someone muted the sound on a TV. They followed me with their eyes the whole time I was passing between the rows. Judgmental looks. I felt like I was in the scopes of many sniper rifles. I squeezed through the barricade made of desks, looking for Polina. But I stumbled into my new buddies instead. Romka swaggered up to me. Decided to rat us out to the cops. I didn't say anything. But sure thought about it, huh? Romka towered over me, breathing out a faint smell of tobacco. You're very wrong if you think that without Syoma you'll have a better time here. We'll make this place hell for you. Got it? See you, Four Eyes. My head tilted forward from his slap. Am I on the ground? What a loser. I wasn't surprised to find a note stuck to my back during the break. My nightmare clearly wasn't about to end. It's been 7 days since the lieutenant visited our class. At first glance, everything was still the same. I'm thinking. The forest still held out its gnarly claws toward the village, and the wind whipped up white flags weaved from powdery snow every night. When my parents argued in the other room, I would turn up the TV's volume to silence their muffled voices and sit close to Olya. Vova and Semyon's photos were still 2 black spots on the notice board, and round-faced Senya hasn't returned home too. Who's Senya? Do I? But something did change. I could see how different the looks of my classmates were. They met me with a new portion of pokes and insults. Contempt, mockery, and loneliness became my faithful companions. But most importantly, a shadow slid across my desk, leaving behind a mysterious note. I glanced into the space between rows, but the messenger was already nowhere to be found. Who sent me this note? What could this carefully ripped out and neatly folded piece of paper be hiding from me? More threats and humiliation, or... I took the piece of paper and carefully inhaled the wafting aroma. Blackberry. Be waiting in a cul-de-sac near the dressing room. Come alone. Said was a message in beautiful handwriting. I'm waiting at a dead end near the dressing room. No dead ends. I don't like dead ends. Drunk on that sudden call, I immediately started walking, looking over my shoulder from time to time, making sure nobody is following me. Why? Even though I suspected it could be another trap set up by Rumka and Biasha at first, this buzzing thought soon left my mind. The two of them didn't have enough combined brain power to fake Polina's note so carefully. I don't trust Polina. I didn't even notice how I almost broke into a run and jumped around the corner. As soon as I did that, I ran into somebody inside the dark nook. Ow! Like a magic bird, a green notebook glided to my feet. Polina puffed her cheeks in exaggerated anger. Petrov, have you lost your sight completely? I fixed my glasses. My nearsightedness wasn't that embarrassing anymore. I bent down and picked up the notebook. Sorry, I was in a rush. Were you waiting for me? Did something happen? Why do you look so bad at me? Polina studied me with her eyes and flicked her tongue. Do you know what you look like, Antasha? No. Like blues improv. I blinked in bewilderment. What do you mean? I always associate people I know with something. I do that too, but why music? Can't be anything other than music. Some people are like guitar solos, some are drums. People like our Lilia Pavlovna are war marches. And you're so thoughtful, so mysterious. Sometimes even a bit sad. You're definitely blues. And what about the improv part? It's when the listener has no idea where the melody will go, what tempo it will adopt. Of course, some of the things Polina said went completely over my head, but I couldn't stop looking at her smile, light like a breeze in May, and her eyes, deep and blue. One needs to have experience and taste to recognize the music in you. You're not some pop music. I don't think I even know what blues is. That's a shame. Polina gasped and frowned, which made her look even more beautiful. Don't say something like that to my face. I'll make sure to give you a cassette. Grandpa used to bring me so much music from the city. Jazz, swing, and classical too. He was the one to notice my musical mindset. When I was still very little, I tried recording the sounds of nature on paper, the songs of the rain and the forest. I wish I had ears like yours. And I'd love to have your eyes. I tensed up, worried that she was making fun of me, but Polina shook her head. No, I'm serious. You have the eyes of an artist. You're so good at picturing things. I can't do that. Katya walked past us with a trademark frosty glare. We dove into the shadows, trying to escape it. You understand why we're hiding here, right? Because of people like her. And what kind of melody is Katya? Polina flashed me a sly smile. The squeaking sound of unoiled door hinges. That's funny. You know, this nasty discount. I giggled, covering my mouth. Uh-oh. Katya didn't hear our whispers, but she suddenly glanced over her shoulder, clearly annoyed. A moment later, she sighed and went on her way. Yeah, shoo. Remembered about the notebook I was still clutching in my hand. I turned it in my hands. Instead of a subject name, the front side had the name of the owner in 2 words, friends only. Curiosity killed the cat, you know. I'm sorry. Is this a questionnaire? Have you ever filled one? I lied that I had. Mm-hmm. In reality, girl classmates from my previous school had never asked me to fill out questionnaires. It was quite upsetting. I mean, it was a girl hobby. You just answer a set of standard questions about your favorite actors and colors, but Entrusting someone with such a notebook was a sign of friendship. And maybe of something even more, something I only had a vague idea about. You can fill in mine if you want. My heartbeat quickened. I do. Thank you. Polina giggled. Actually, there are so many secrets there. You'd be better off not knowing what we girls think. She reached for the notebook, playing with me. I tossed my finding into my free hand. Polina tried to intercept my move. Her hair briefly touched my face, tickling my nose with its silky locks. I sensed an aroma that immediately filled the whole world. Fragrant, alluring, lively. If only I could picture it, steal it for myself. I felt dizzy, but I gathered myself and spoke in a voice reminiscent of Lieutenant Tikhonov. Your questionnaire is an important piece of evidence, so I'm afraid I have to confiscate it for further examination. Polina covered her mouth, that rounded in fake horror. And what are the implications of concealing evidence? We'll decide that in the course of our investigation. I surrender, Mr. Policeman. Just promise you won't read anything? It's full of sensitive information. I'm afraid I'll have to investigate whether someone is in love with Mr. Petrov. Polina burst out laughing and pressed herself against my chest, showering me with the aroma of her hair and her milky skin that looked almost transparent, tiny threads of veins running under it. Her whisper was hot, like a piece of butter sizzling on a pan. Then swear that you will keep this information private. I swear on my police badge. And now we need to hurry. It's not scary right now. I'm confused. I took out the notebook during class. This? No. Skimmed through it, reading into other people's preferences. I was quite surprised to discover Romka's jerky handwriting inside. His letter bulged out of the cells as if embarrassed by their shapelessness. Fearsome Romka found time for something so silly. I chuckled into my fist after I found out that Romka's favorite cartoon is not even Darkwing Duck, but DuckTales. Somewhere in the distance, a teacher was reciting pieces of Andrew Snapper. I paid them no mind. Paulina's page was decorated with flower drawings and clips from the Cool Girl magazine. I don't know what this means. That's good. Birthday. Listening. See the world. Robert Schumann. Losing the people I love. That's valid. I don't know what this means. Musician of Bremen. I've read that story, I think. Grandpa. Her favorite musician is Schubert. Her best friend is her grandpa. Oh. Her hobby's not violin like I expected, but much more mysterious listening. It's a good hobby. Can such a mundane process really be someone's hobby? I looked at Polina over the heads of other students. She was focused on taking notes. I flipped the pages until I found a blank one and armed myself with a pen. Anton Petrov, Class 6B. It took a long time to decide on my favorite musician until a trendy pop band Carman came to mind, with cool dancers in their music videos. Favorite holiday? This one's easy, New Year's. My hobby's drawing. My dream? Going to Disneyland, I guess. My hero? My hand moved on its own, writing Da. I stopped on those two letters. What if those who read this after me will find my answer laughable and stupid? After thinking a bit, I decided that not everything should be disclosed on paper. That's how DA turned into Spider-Man. Spelling was wrong, but who cares? All you had to do was turn the... Oh, you wrote the A. My bad. Your biggest fear, huh? Immediately wrote, losing a person who's dear to me. Your phone number. No secret here. 30395. Favorite cartoon. Transformers. Best friend. I hesitated, gnawing on the pen's cap. Best friend. I read the question out loud. It was easy, but at the same time, very important. The answer to that was my sister's name, so I carefully wrote it into the squares. Olya, I will do everything in my power to protect you. I promise. I promise. Olya. I repeated my sister's name while sneaking out of the school. There was a cute, freshly drawn dragon in my notebook that I made to please my beloved sister. In this land of darkness and deceit, her support was the only thing that inspired me to keep drawing and stopped me from losing hope in humanity. Refreshing, frosty air made my cheeks turn beet red. It was bright outside, and the sun looked like a whole egg yolk. The road looked as if it was silvered, the snow sparkling under the sunlight. I smiled, squinting from the bright whiteness, blinding whiteness. Who cares if I don't have any true friends anymore? I have something more important. Someone who needs my help, who will never betray or hurt me. Family is the most important thing ever. That's what Dad always told me. No. I'm in too good of a mood to have it, by that whole sentiment, to have it be ruined by you and your posse. So, go away. We're ending the video. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. If you liked this episode as much as I'm enjoying the game, hit the like button, subscribe to support the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see all of you in the next video. Bye. Okay, you coming? Yes, yes.